Morning and welcome to the chat on Newsday Amarillo and News Channel 10-2. I'm David Lovejoy.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Rhonda Lahnert.
And I'm Chuckalicious Chuck Williams.
Oh, it's Wednesday. You know what that means. It's one of our favorite days of the week. We get better. Jody Holland was away last week. Miss Slaughter did a great job filling in, but the original is back. Jody Holland getting better each and every day right here on the chat. Jody, how you doing today?
Doing fantastic. I am geared up and excited for Business Connections tomorrow at the Chamber of Commerce. It's one of my favorite events of the year that the Chamber puts on. I like going to business after hours and hanging out and socializing, but I found that Business Connection, I get to truly network. And I love the networking piece of it because it's all about how we build our businesses and how we build our relationships with others. So I want to talk a little bit today about what works and what doesn't work in trying to network with people. Let's start with what doesn't work. I think we were talking off air about the 90s, and I remember people calling me in the 90s going, "Hey man, let me pick you up. I want to take you to dinner." And it was some random person that I met at Walmart. I go, "Okay, that sounds weird." So the first time I said yes, and it ended up at an Amway event.
Oh,
And it
wow.
seemed like everybody that was into Amway was lying about what they were doing. They're like, "We have you captive. You can't go anywhere now. And you're 5 miles from your house." So after the first one, I'm like, "I'll drive myself. Where are we meeting for dinner?" "Oh, it's going to be at a friend's house, and we're going to do a little meeting while we're there." I'm like, "I'm busy."
I'm good.
So if you're having to trick people to do business with you, you probably don't have a business worth doing business with. But if you're honest about who you are and what you've got going on, then you'll find people that might be legitimately interested. And it's not that, network marketing or MLMs, it's not that they're bad. They're actually a fantastic way for people to start a side hustle or even replace their income. But you got to be upfront about what you're doing. The second pitfall is the business card shovers. And those are the ones that are walking around going, "Take my business card, take my business card." And I think their goal is to get rid of their business cards. And I always want to ask them, like, has anyone in the history of ever thought 2 days later, "I don't know who this is, but I probably ought to give them some money.
Yeah.
Let me call them up because I got their business card in my pocket."
Right.
That is not how that works. But instead of shoving a business card, what you want to do is ask a question. When you meet somebody, say in 3 sentences, "Tell me what problem your business solves." And if you can ask it that way in 3 sentences or less, "Tell me what problem your business solves." One, you force them into an actual elevator pitch that might be worthwhile. But number 2, you get to find out some really cool stuff that's going on in our area. I mean, Amarillo has some amazing businesses, and these businesses solve some really important problems. I think when you're networking, you should be ready to ask questions because the law of reciprocation, which was a rule put out by Dr. Robert Cialdini, talks about the fact that when you ask for things, the reciprocation is that they ask back.
Right.
Now they're genuinely interested instead of just two people seeing how they can shove information and cards as fast as possible. So those are a couple of things. We'll kind of start with that, but I do think you have to be genuinely interested in other people. Otherwise, you're not going to be very good at networking.
Jody, I think one of the first things we need to break down with Business Connect on the eve of it tomorrow, break down and explain to people the difference between networking and socializing. They're two different entities.
Yeah. So there will be a lot of socialization that goes on there. Socializing is just about reconnecting with people and seeing some of the people you haven't seen in a while. And admittedly, I do look forward to that because all of the cool business people are there in one place at one time. But socialization isn't about discovering ways to help. Socialization is about getting your emotions picked up a little bit and feeling better about where you're at. Networking is about discovering ways to solve problems for others that they want solved. In business, we are here to serve other people and solve problems. And when we go at it from that perspective, there are people that desperately want their problems to go away. I've never met anybody who's like, "I have 9 problems. I'd like 10. What can you give me?"
Right.
No, it's, "I have 9 problems. I'd like less." And so they're always looking for ways to get rid of their problems. So the value exchange and networking is, what do you have that's bothering you? And what do I have that can make that thing that's bothering you go away? And when we talk about those things, we're truly networking, working within in that group of people to find solutions that other people are looking for. Here's the thing you got to be careful of. In networking, not everybody has the problem that you solve. So when they don't have the problem that you solve, switch to socialization for a minute and then go find somebody else to help. Don't keep pitching what it is that you have to somebody who doesn't need it. Because there are people that they truly don't need your solution. But a lot of people do need it. So discover that quickly. You know, what are some of the challenges that you're facing in business is a good question. What's an issue that if it went away, it would make your life a whole lot better? And I always try to focus on the business side of it, obviously. I don't want to do therapy in the middle of business connection. But the big difference is networking is about finding people who have the problem that you're good at solving. Socialization is just about finding people and connecting.
So
Well, when you're at a networking event or whatever, you know, for me, one of the hardest things is to strike up the conversation. You know, I may see somebody that, you know, I probably know they probably need what I am offering. My problem is figuring out how to even, you know, walk up to that person and begin the conversation. And I've talked to a lot of people, they feel the same way. So what are some things that you should keep in mind, do or don't do when it comes to just trying to strike up the conversation to see if they're even needing what you've got?
So there are a lot of people that are kind of, you know, slightly socially awkward. A lot of times an introvert's not going to be comfortable walking up and just talking to people. So find a question that's a good conversation starter. And sometimes that, like, if you're looking for what I would call an emotional trigger question, in my business, that would be something like, hey, I've got a quick question for you. They go, yeah. Have you ever hired someone you ended up wishing you had never met? And then, oh, yeah, I've done that. I go, well, tell me the story. And that's it. So you ask a question. So yours might be, if you're from a coaching or development standpoint, have you ever had a goal that you set for yourself personally that was really difficult to get to, but you did achieve it? And they go, yeah, I've done that. Tell me the story.
Oh, yeah.
That's your conversation starter. And once they start telling you their story, then you listen for the little parts where you can still help. Most of the time when we're solving a problem, we're not solving all of the problem. Like, they have 50 or 60% of the problem solved. They just can't get the last 40 or 50% done. That's where you step in as a solutions provider, is to solve that last piece. And you do see people collecting cards. And that's the other side of the card shover, is the card collector. And when they're collecting those cards, it can be a little bit frustrating because you're thinking, I dropped my card at 47 booths. I got 0 emails and 0 calls. And if you look at, I've been doing this for 24 years, going to these trade shows and stuff. From any of the chamber trade shows, I have gotten on average 2 follow-ups per year. So if you are if you've got a booth and booth space and giveaways and all of that, have a follow-up plan to provide value after the event. If you don't have a follow-up plan for providing value, you're kind of in trouble. Because, I mean, it's great connection with people, but you need value.
Yeah.
I was about to ask that same question. The follow-up plan, since you're shoving out all these cards, if you don't have a follow-up plan, you definitely are in trouble. Are you not?
You're wasting money.
Yeah.
You're wasting money. You're wasting money.
I
We're
think
going to take a quick break. We'll come back, talk more networking with Jody Holland right here on the chat on Newsday Amarillo and News Channel 10-2.